Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. Today's topic is on asset management made easy with ServiceDesk Plus. By the way, my name is Charles. I'm a product expert from ManageEngine, and I have over 7 years of experience with ManageEngine's different ITSM suite. So today's agenda is going to be scanning assets and discovering the different types of assets that are present in each and every organization, in each and every network. We will be distinguishing between the IT and the non-IT assets so that I can tell you which type of assets are going to consume license and which are not going to consume license. We'll also be discussing about the maximum asset utilization, that is the complete life cycle of an asset from one user to another user, how that can be performed using the application. We will also be discussing about software license management, and we'll be discussing about asset lease. So let's get started. First and foremost, the scanning methodology in the application. We have different scanning methodologies for different types of assets. For Windows, before even I go to that part, the different types of assets that we scan using ServiceDesk are these. Windows. Any Windows operating system will be able to scan using ServiceDesk Plus. Both user machines as well as servers can be scanned. For non-Windows, operating systems like Linux, Mac, Solaris, HP UX, AIX can be scanned. So on the virtualization platform, we do support scanning VMware as well as Hyper-V platforms. And any type of network devices can be scanned using ServiceDesk Plus. Network devices like printers, routers, etc. We also support scanning Cisco IP phones, wherein the device information can be scanned using the application. So let me go here and discuss about the different ways that ServiceDesk use to scan these different types of assets. For Windows, it is going to be the agent-based. So we have an agent that is available in the application for you to download. So this agent can be configured. So the agent will contain the server name where it has to report the scan information to, and it contains the server port, the protocol, and this agent port is important. This is the port in which the agent service is going to be listening on each and every user's computer. So if you wanted to change this, so if you consider the 9000 is used by a different application or has been blocked in your network, you can very well go ahead and change this to any port as you wish. And the option that says scan system startup is something, if this is enabled and if the agent is generated after this is enabled, agent is going to send the scanned data to the ServiceDesk server every time the machine reboots. So whenever a user reboots his computer, whenever a server is rebooted, this information, the scan information, is going to be sent across to the application. In the agent-based, you will be able to deploy this agent on your user's computer using various methods. So some of the methods that are available in the application are Active Directory. So you can create a group policy on your domain controller. So the steps to create the group policy, that is the agent as well as the script that invokes the installation, are all available in this section. The next is the PSExec utility. I hope you guys are aware, the Microsoft utility which you can use to deploy any software on your user's computer. The common practice these days are when a mission is arrived into the network, system administrators will first go ahead and deploy an image on the machines. So if you have the practice in your organization to image your new computers, in that case, you can very well install agent on that image, on that master computer, take an image and very well deploy it. But you'll have to follow this very simple procedure to remove a parameter called agent ID so that machines will not override. If you are a group of people who faces issues in agent scanning, that is, if agent is renaming the machine as _old or just overwrites the machine, maybe, and if you are following the Windows imaging process, maybe you'll have to look into that. So you'll have to remove the agent ID parameter, re-image the master copy, the master hard drive, take a copy of it, and start deploying it on the new machines that reaches the organization. We have provided the steps to upgrade, uninstall agents as well. So these can also be verified when and where it is required. So if you want to uninstall agent on a particular group of people's computer, then you can very well use this uninstall agent.vbs script and again configure this as a group policy so that the agent will be removed from their PCs automatically. The next thing we are going to discuss about is the credential library. So I'm sure every organization is going to have a set of credentials to access the assets, to scan the assets, to inventory assets. So maybe you would have saved all those informations in a password protected Excel sheet. So what you can do is you can bring those passwords into the application, into ServiceDesk Plus. Those passwords are encrypted and saved internally. So after these credentials are added, you can use those credentials for the scanning purpose. So when you go to add new credential, you will have an option to choose what type of asset or what type of credential it is. So before I was showing you the different types of assets that can be scanned using the application. So for Mac, Linux, all non-Windows operating systems, we use the SSH or the Telnet protocol. Predominantly, SSH will be enabled. So you can choose SSH and provide the name and details. So let me go here and provide a credential over here. Likewise, you'll be able to provide credential for each and every type of asset that can be scanned using ServiceDesk. For VMware, it's going to be the vSphere client credential that you use to access those VMs, to manage those VMs. You'll have to provide that very same information over here. For SNMP, we support scanning V1, V2. V1 is obsolete. So V2 version of SNMP as well as V3 version. If you want to scan, if you have disabled the V2 version of SNMP on your network devices, because for security purposes, in that case, you can enable V3 and provide the required details here, and this can be used for the scanning purposes. So that being said, all these credentials, once they are added, they can be associated in the network scan. So they can be used in the network scan section. So when you add a new network, you'll be able to choose the entire network range or a particular IP range over here, and then provide all the credentials that you have added. So all those credentials will be listed over here for you. So you can choose from the list and just save and scan. ServiceDesk is going to identify each and every IP addresses in this list and identify the kind of operating system it is running on, or the type of device it is, and going to use the appropriate credential, and it's going to scan those devices. For Hyper-V, if you would have noticed, there is no Hyper-V credential that can be added over here, because for Hyper-V, you will have to use the agent-based again. So you'll have to install the agent on the Hyper-V host, and that's going to scan the machine along with the VM details and send it across to the server. So once these informations are added, you should be on top of these informations at any point of time. At any point of time, you should be able to report on these details and provide the report to the management. So using audit settings, you can enable schedule scan in ServiceDesk Plus. So you can configure it either it has to run daily, weekly, etc. And based on your configuration, ServiceDesk is going to scan the different devices that are already available in the database and going to fetch the server information. We also support barcode scan at the moment. So barcode, though it is the version 1 of the barcode that has been released, we are working on enhancing this module. So let me go here and show you the different options that are available initially. So there are 3 different options available. First is you'll be able to use any keyboard event-driven barcode scanner with ServiceDesk Plus and can scan any devices. What I mean is any barcode scanner that can read the barcode and can print that information in a notepad. So that is keyboard event-driven barcode scanner. So you can use any of those type of barcodes with ServiceDesk. So first and foremost, you can point your mouse. You can place your mouse pointer. You can shoot all the new devices that reaches your organization. So every device is in comma separated. Every devices will be added over here, and you'll be able to choose what type of device it is, whether it is a smartphone or a laptop or a workstation, and you'll be able to choose the product type and the product, and you'll be able to add those assets to the application. And the next thing is you'll be able to add your own custom-made barcodes. If your organization is following a custom kind of a barcode, you'll be able to create that as well using ServiceDesk Plus. So in a sequential or on a manual basis, you'll be able to create your custom barcodes. So you can create prefix. Say, for example, for laptop, you have LAP, and at the suffix, you have the site name, let's say Melbourne for MEL. So, and it has to start from 100. And the count, let's say 1,000. In that case, all those different barcodes will be available for you and will be added as an asset in the application. So once the barcodes are created, you will also be able to print those barcodes from the print barcode section. This is going to give you the print specifications, what are all required. So you can connect a printer, barcode printer with ServiceDesk machine, and you can create or you can print the barcodes easily. The next thing, these are the different types of adding assets into the ServiceDesk Plus. The next thing is SCCM. In many organizations, Microsoft System Center software is being used for patch management and deployment. So in that case, if you are a set of people who are using SCCM already and are hesitant to install ServiceDesk Agent as well on the user's PC, it's obvious. So if you already have an agent, you may be hesitant on installing another agent on your machines. It's going to slow down the performance, the startup, and the shutdown process. So in that case, if you're using SCCM, we have a procedure already where you can integrate the SCCM with ServiceDesk Plus. What I mean is, the SCCM option that is available in our forums, wherein you'll be able to download the SCCM connector. The connector is available over here for you to download. So if you do not have the link or if you're not able to find it, do not worry about it. I will anyway send it across to you after the session is over. So you can configure the SCCM connector. You can provide the SCCM database credentials on the connector and configure a server task so that the connector will execute the receiver, select queries on the database and fetch the information from SCCM database and post that information into ServiceDesk Plus. So you need not install ServiceDesk Agent in that scenario. Whatever you inventory using SCCM will be automatically added to ServiceDesk Plus using the connector. The next thing that we are working on at the moment, our development team is working on at the moment, is we are working on providing the SCCM configuration in the user interface itself, because now many of the users are not aware of this connector, and it's not being used to its fullest. So in that scenario, what we have planned is we are planning to bring that connector within the user interface under the asset section, so that many who use SCCM will start using the connector as well. So here in this session, I will be talking about some of the enhancements that our development team is currently working on. Most of the features that are present in ServiceDesk are features that are requested by our customers. There are many that we receive on a daily basis, but we are working on a set of few at the moment, which I will be telling you while I'm going through the different options now. So one thing I missed out was the agent. In the agent, we are working on enhancing the agent-based scan in such a way that the installed agent, the agent that is installed on each and every PCs, will send the scanned information, will allow not only the scanned information, any difference in information will also be sent across to the server periodically, so that you need not even do schedule scan from the application. So if I have a PC, my information has been sent across the server. After an hour or so, I install a software, or I make any changes to my hardware, I install a USB drive or whatever. So that information will be automatically scanned by the agent, and that information will be sent across to the ServiceDesk server. So whatever features that I'm going to talk about in this session are those that are currently in development. So this agent-based enhancement that I was talking about is almost ready. So it should be available for you in 1 or 2 service packs. Also, the next thing we are going to discuss about in the asset management section is the remote control tools. So normally, desktop management support will be involved in connecting to users' PC for troubleshooting issues. If there are any viruses identified, if there are any software that has to be installed, new service requests from users asking to install a new software. In that scenario, the technicians will not be able to travel, will not be able to go to the location and do this operation. Instead, you will be already having a software in place, such as VNC or Damware, or even you can use ServiceDesk scan itself. ServiceDesk's remote connecting software, the agent itself to connect to the machines, and you'll be able to do this operation. So if you have any such software like VNC, Damware, BombGuard, anything, you'll be able to integrate that with the application, and you can very well connect to those machines from the ServiceDesk console itself. You need not switch to another tool. You need not switch to another screen to connect to those machines. The other enhancement that we are working on in this section is the web remote. So let me show that to you. So here in this scenario, you need to have the agent installed to connect using the ServiceDesk's remote tool. So instead, what we are working on at the moment is we are working on a web remote tool, which does not require any agent, does not require any plugin. You will directly be able to connect using the browser itself. So, all right, let me take you there. So this machine, let's say, if I want to connect, this is going to be available for me. Web RDP is going to be available for me over here. So I can just connect and provide the reason, test. All right, that's it. The session will be connected. Also, the session will be recorded and monitored. So whatever change I do here, Google, or whatever change I do here will be monitored for me, will be tracked and will be recorded. So if you want to cancel, I can very well go ahead and cancel it. So once that is done, under the history tab of the machine, all the web remote sessions that I have done will be available for me over here. So as an administrator, at any point of time, you can go ahead and play video of what is being done, and will be able to, for audit purpose, if this is required, you can very well make use of it. One other important thing about this particular functionality is the web remote is going to be available on the ServiceDesk app as well, on the iPad and iPhone and Android apps as well. All right. So let's proceed with the session. The other important thing is classifying the assets in the application. So there are different classifications over here. Anything that is going to be added under the IT asset section is going to consume a node license that you buy from ManageEngine. Anything that's going to be added under non-IT asset or under the asset component is not going to consume a license. So you can differentiate this under admin and product type. So whatever new product type you add, so let me say this is a TV screen. There's the big monitors that is used used to display the stats before each and every department. You can add that as a non-IT asset over here. So once this has been added, you'll be able to see this information under the non-IT asset. So you can add as many number of screens over here, desk monitors over here. This is not going to consume a license, and at the same time, you'll be able to manage the asset by associating it to a user or to a department. All right. So when an asset has been first identified, it's going to have the status listed as in store, which means it is available in the shelves to be deployed to the users. So if you want to manage the machine, like if you want to give this machine to a user for their work purposes, in that case, you can go ahead and change the asset state from in store to in use and then you'll be able to choose the user or the department that is that is asking for this asset, or to which department to which IT is giving this asset to. You can add this department information over here and the site which is using this asset. Not only that, asset leased to users, like a vendor that is coming into your organization for any different purposes, for training or for any purposes. In that case, the organization is going to give a machine, a PC, to the vendor, to the person who's coming in. So in that case, you can add this information as lease. So this machine will be provided to a user for the next 4 days. So in that case, you can add this information over here. Let's say it's been administration department. And automatically, when the lease period is going to get over, the vendor and the configured set of users will be notified by the application. So under admin, under purchase contract, there is an option called notification rules. So here, you have an option. All right, over here. So notify technicians and the asset owners when the lease period of the asset expires. So you'll be able to configure the notifications, when it has to be notified, how many days before it has to be notified, and all those informations can be configured over here. You will also be able to customize the template. So whatever the kind of template that you want, you'll be able to customize it in ServiceDesk. So once the asset has been assigned to a user, and you can work on it, and if the asset has been sent for a repair, or if the asset's warranty is expired, or you, as a company, you have decided to dispose the asset as it is no more useful. In that case, you can very well go ahead and change the asset state, and you can change it as expired or disposed or in repair. So any asset state that you're going to change will be recorded in the history. So the user who, the number of users, the list of users who have used this asset, the number of times the asset is in repair, or was in the number of days it was in the in-store, all those information can be available for you in the form of a report when that is required. So the next thing we are going to discuss about is the distributed asset scan. So let's assume you as an organization is distributed across different locations across the globe, different countries across the globe. It's difficult to scan all those different locations from a single console that is installed on the main head office, let's say in Melbourne. In that case, instead of scanning those machines from a single location, you can install a probe setup of ServiceDesk Plus on each and every location. Assume you have an office location in London and another office in China. In that case, you can install the probe setup on those office locations, and the probe will be able to scan the devices. Likewise, you can install the agent of the probe on those machines, and the probe in turn can send the scanned data to the ServiceDesk Plus server. So this illustration is going to show you that. So all those different locations can have the probe installations, and the probe will report the scanned information periodically to ServiceDesk Plus server as and when it is configured. So that is about the inventory part, the hardware inventory part of the application. Moving forward, we'll be going into the software section, where we'll be discussing about identifying software and configuring prohibited softwares and managing a software and details like that. So whenever a machine is being scanned, all the information that are present, all the software installed on those machines will be scanned automatically and will be available under the scan software section. So initially, the type of those identified softwares will say as unidentified, which means it has not been managed by the administrator yet. If you want to manage the asset, that is, if you have a license for this software, what you can do is you can change its state to managed. So once you change its state to managed, you'll be able to see additional options like it's telling you that it is under licensed, and it's telling you the number of installations that is having the software and all those informations over here. So if you have a license, you can either add it under the Actions tab, or otherwise, let's go to the Software Licenses tab and add a license over here. So I'm going to add a standard license, and for the MS SQL Server. So this is a enterprise subscription, or let's say this is a volume license purchased. So volume license in the sense you'll be able to use one key on all the different, on multiple set of missions. So let's say this is an enterprise subscription and the installation allowed is 500. So you will also be able to buy a license based on site. So either for an organization or site basis, you'll be able to get a license and you'll be able to add this information in ServiceDesk. So region to region, there is going to be different terms and conditions. So if you have a license that is purchased only for the London site, which cannot be used outside London, you'll be able to choose London and you'll be able to add this license. Or otherwise, if you have got a license that can be used across the organization, you can just choose organization and you can go ahead and save this information. Now, this license will be available for me when I go ahead and choose my software. So let's go and choose this one. Or even better, I will go ahead and filter it. Now, under the license tab, this particular option, this particular license that I've added will be available, and I can choose the software, and that's it. So now at the moment, it's saying me I am over licensed, which means as an administrator, I have got more number of licenses, whereas the installation is pretty low. So you'll be able to identify this compliance status over here under the software summary. This is going to give you an overall view of your compliance status. So if there is compliance software, it's going to show you in green, and this graph is going to help you a lot. Likewise, under the dashboard, we have provided these informations as well. So under the dashboard, you'll be able to see the different types of assets. All the different types of assets that you have can be available over here. So also over here, workstation by OS and all those information will be available over here. You'll be able to also create your own reports, and you can add those reports under the dashboard, which again will be helpful. So let me go back to the Assets tab and click on the software summary. So let me choose the over licensed software that I have, which is MS SQL. All right. So now it's telling me over license, as I told you. Likewise, you'll be able to also configure or will be able to achieve site-based compliance using ServiceDesk Plus. So if you have enough license for your London installations, if you have chosen that, you'll be able to see which site is over licensed, which site is under licensed, and all those information is going to be available for you in a couple of clicks. In ServiceDesk, under the software section, under software, you have software type. This software type, here you'll be able to configure what are the types of software for which you need to configure or you need to calculate compliance. So say, for example, you add a new software type here. Let's say this is a development software, in-house development software. You need not configure or you need not calculate compliance for it. So in that case, you can just leave this option unchecked. So whenever you configure a software as in-house, so let me go ahead and show you under the assets. So I can choose a scan software. Let me choose this one. So if I go and choose in-house, this is not going to tell me that I am over licensed or under licensed. The compliance is not going to be calculated for such software. So you'll be able to add different software types in the application and each and every software type you can verify, you can configure whether compliance has to be calculated or not for those type of softwares in the application. So another thing is, you will also be able to import the software licenses. So if you have a console from Microsoft or from any software manufacturer that you deal with, wherein all the licenses are available in a console where you can log in and download it in the form of an Excel. So you can download it and convert that as an CSV file, and you'll be able to import that in ServiceDesk Plus as well. So if you do not want to key in all those software license information manually in the application, you can very well import those details in the form of a CSV, and that can be added in the application. So once those licenses are added, you can very well go ahead and associate those license information to the machines and see what are the different type of software that you need to work on. So before an audit comes in, internal audit or an external audit, you'll be able to identify the compliance details of your organization, and you can act accordingly on those different software installations. Not only that, we have different software types present. So you can go to admin again and go to software license types. So these are the different default software license types that are available. So if you want to add a new license type and want to track based on user or want to track based on installations, you can very well do that. So let us say for Apple, you have license from Apple and you wanted to create your own license types. So you can choose to track whether by workstation or by user. So in this case, let me go ahead and choose workstation. All right. So it can be installed on a single machine, or this license is applicable for a volume for multiple number of machines. So let me say in this scenario, it's going to be a single machine. And I can enter the license options here. Mostly it is FPP, fully packaged product, and all those different options that you can enable. So once this is saved, it will be available for all your Apple software that you have in your system. So if you go to assets and software licenses, when you add a new license, when you choose Apple, this new software, the license type that you have added will be available for you. So this license is available for me. So I can enter the license key and I can associate this to an installation which has the software for which I purchased this license for. And in ServiceDesk, you'll also be able to track your suite licenses. So normally, many organizations now do provide suite, or otherwise, the most common suite providers are Microsoft, Adobe, where you definitely would have procured a software from. So all those kind of suite software can be tracked, and you will be able to manage those licenses as well using ServiceDesk Plus. So for example, I do not have an Adobe software installed on my machine. So instead, what I will do is I will choose the Apple software. Let me say others. So these are the different software that I'm going to change as managed. And while adding a new software, I'll be able to add a suite. So I'm going to choose suite, and the suite name is Apple Suite. So all the different options that I have made as managed will be available for me over here. Now I can configure a rule wherein I can tell the application to discover automatically machines that has at least 3 of these software. So it has already detected the machine. Or otherwise, I can just choose manual option, and I can choose the manual installations from the list. So once this has been done, I can go ahead and add a license. So again, the normal procedure comes in, whether it is a volume license or a suite or individual license or suite license. You can add those informations and you can associate and again verify whether you're compliant with this software or whether you're not. Based on that information, you'll be able to decide. Say, for example, in this scenario, I have over license software. If you're going to track this in an Excel kind of a sheet, it's going to be really difficult for you to understand the number of licenses that you have in excess. Whereas a tool like ServiceDesk will be able to tell you the number of licenses you got and the number of licenses that are already available for you without any manual intervention. So you'll be able to plan your next set of budgets accordingly, that you have more number of licenses, so no need of any budgeting that is for this particular software. So these are the benefits of using software license management using the application. And moreover, another important thing is, since the contract module is integrated with ServiceDesk Plus, you'll be able to configure the different contracts you have with your vendors. And let's say this is a contract with Microsoft I have, and I'll be able to choose the contract ID. It's a support contract, let's say. And I'll be able to choose either the laptops, physical assets, or the software. So in this case, I'm going to choose the MS SQL Server software that I have. So the lease period can be configured. So you'll be able to easily identify which software has a contract and which does not. And based on that, you'll be able to pull in your contractors and fix any particular issue that you have. So here, with whatever we have seen at the moment, the complete life cycle of an asset can be tracked. So let's say there is a user who is leaving the organization. All right. So in that case, he's going to return his laptop, or he's going to upgrade, or he's asking for an upgrade of a laptop. In that case, what normally you do, you will be changing the software to in-store, and if you have already configured all the software licenses on those machines, or the software is installed on those machines, what you can do is you can very well go ahead and change the software type to either disposed or expired. So in this case, let's say I have tens of software installed on this machine, and I have many number of licenses configured for it. So when this user decides to leave the organization and returns the machine to the system administrator team, you can change the software type to either expire or disposed, which means once it has been chosen, all the licenses that you have added for this machine, software licenses, will be freed up by now. All right. So now you can change it back to in-store, and you can start and you can make it available for the next person who is going to join the organization, or is going to look for a new asset. Now all the software licenses will be available for you, which you can, so say for example, it's now available as 500. So when I change it to expired and I move it back to in-store, it has freed up all my licenses. So all these information is going to give you a better view on managing your asset, your physical as well as your software assets. So normally asset management will be considered as a cost center, where a large amount of money will be spent on procuring new assets and software licenses, or otherwise losing business hours. So you will be involving your system admin team on fixing issues, but you will also be able to convert the asset management part into a profit center where the expenditure can be controlled or even minimized. With just a couple of mouse clicks, you'll be able to identify the list of machines that are in use and those that are in the shelves to be reused. So with the above practices in place, whichever we have discussed, we can control unnecessary purchases and instead reuse assets and software licenses, and ServiceDesk will be able to facilitate this for you. So also, as the contracts module is integrated with ServiceDesk, you can mark the contracts that you have for your assets, software licenses, etc. So when an asset, say for example, when a server is performing slow, or when the server is not performing as it should, in that case, if you are aware of the contract that is already available for the server, you'll be able to pull in the right contractors in and will be able to ask them, troubleshoot what the problem is, instead of you deploying your workforce into performing that task. So this again is going to save a lot of time and resource time, work hours, wherein that can be focused on a different issue that is currently going on. So that is the benefit of all these options available for you in a single application like ServiceDesk Plus. Thank you for your time in the session. I hope it was informative, Have a great day. Bye-bye.